Welcome to Dr Joe Unplugged. The topics discussed in this podcast will reflect my opinions and are not in any way to be regarded as medical advice.
Here's another one from the garbage research that deserves to be in the bin file. You really do have to ask yourself, why are these studies done and who has actually paid for them? Energy drinks may raise suicide risks. A meta-analysis of more than 1.5 million participants, and we'll put the link in the description as always, has suggested that coffee and energy drinks have opposing effects on suicide risk. High coffee consumption, defined as more than 60 cups a month, which would be really just 2 cups a day, if a month's got 30 days, was linked to significantly reduced suicide attempts, probably, so they don't know, because of its stimulating and mood-enhancing properties. In contrast, even a single can of energy drink per month was observed to increase the risk for suicidal thoughts and attempts with a dose-dependent effect that can triple the risk. The difference could be explained by the presence of other psychoactive ingredients in energy drinks such as taurine, guarana and ginseng, together with the sugar content. Well, of course, it takes no account of sugar in your coffee. 2 cups of coffee a day is an amount that a very large number of people would consume. I don't have exact statistics, but coffee consumption is global. It's not in every culture, but it's in most. You got to think hundreds of millions, if not billions of people consume coffee on a regular basis, and a reasonable number of those may well drink 2 cups of coffee per day. And a lot of people drink energy drinks. Now, there is sugar, in energy drinks, but there's also an equivalent amount of sugar in a whole lot of soft drinks and other products as well. So these associative studies where researchers just look at data, okay, here's 1.5 million people. It's a decent amount of people. As an analysis, it's a decent amount of people. But the joining together of 2 separate issues and linking them does not, absolutely not, establish cause and effect. They can have a guess, but they don't know. And they don't know because it can't be established. If drinking 2 cups of coffee per day was protective against people committing suicide and probably wrapped into that, protective against some mental health problems, I think that would have become apparent by now. Now, people may drink coffee and be very happy in their lives. People may drink coffee and not be particularly happy in their lives. And some people, if you have a cup of coffee, it brings you pleasure and joy and you may feel happier. That's not a medical treatment for any medical issue. It's just you feel better. Like if you get up in the morning and maybe have a warm shower, you might feel better with that too. You might like wearing a shirt that's blue. And it would be very, very easy, and work like this actually been done just to highlight the perhaps idiocy of some of these studies, showing that you can link which star sign you were born under to your likelihood of breaking your arm. And when you think about it, there are 12 star signs, so you've got a 1 in 12 chance of being born under any one of them. It's got nothing to do with where you may fall over and break your arm, but you can draw a statistical correlation. So they've been able to draw some form of statistical correlation, but that's meaningless. You could easily draw a correlation between the colour of the shirt that people prefer to wear, or the colour of their hairbrush, or what sporting code and sporting team they follow. Now, that latter one, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but, sure, if you're always miserable about your team losing and you do already have some mental health problems, look, that could be in some way, shape or form a small contributing factor, but it's not because of the fact that you're following a code or following a team. It's how you feel about the performance of that team, and it's obviously completely outside of your control how the team performs, albeit how you react or choose to respond to it is something that is within your control. So, according to a psychiatrist, the results are quite striking. Suicide attempts were 30% lower among coffee drinkers compared with energy drink consumers. Now, look, maybe it's a proxy. There are people who tend to drink coffee, put together slightly differently or have different tastes or inclinations than people who gravitate towards energy drinks. I don't know, and neither does he, and neither does anybody. Now, caffeine is probably the world's most widely consumed drug, if one wants to call it that. I don't think it's fair to call it that. Some people do. It's a substance, and like all substances, it has an effect on people. Sugar has an effect on people. Having sitting in the sunshine has an effect on people. Going for a walk has an effect on people. But interestingly, there's caffeine in both energy drinks and coffee, and there's also a caffeine in tea. So I think it's a very, very long bow, and in fact, no, let's actually rephrase that. To essentially claim, albeit quite loosely, to be fair to them, but it's a headline and it's clickbait, and yeah, I clicked on it, and if you're interested, you can too. To get people interested, if it says that energy drinks increase the risk of whatever it might be, in this instance, suicide risk, then people will click on it. If it says coffee is protective, you may well click on it. But we don't know that it is. That we've found, as I said, a correlation makes it no more meaningful than a correlation bit. Well, if you wear a green T-shirt on a Tuesday, that means you're less likely to get heart attack because we've studied 1.5 million people and the colour of the T-shirts that they wear on Tuesdays. That A and B may be found at the same time or at the same place does not mean that A has caused B or that B has caused A. It's just they happen to be there together at the same place and the same time. Does not establish a connection. So the really perhaps important take-home message out of all of this is not really to do with this study and the fact that it's of no particular value to anybody other than the people who got paid to do it. There are a lot of headlines, and this is not just in the medical on medical websites. This is in the mainstream media as well, about A being linked to B. A linked to cancer, B linked to cancer. A study done on 50 random ingredients selected from cookbooks found that 90% there was an equal number of medical studies showing an increased and decreased risk of cancer. So it's meaningless, absolutely meaningless. But it does get clicks. And then people do scratch their heads and think, well, they're telling me this week X causes cancer. Last week they told me X protects me against cancer. We don't want to treat life as an obstacle course. If we try to avoid one obstacle, there's a fairly high likelihood we're going to run into the next. So we can turn it on its head, and rather than thinking about what to avoid, we can focus on what to actually do, like putting the right, and we've spoken about this before, but it bears repeating, especially for people who haven't listened to the podcast before. And if you haven't, welcome along, and obviously thank you to all those who are regular listeners. Just put the right fuels into your body. Move it around, do some exercise, get enough sleep, manage your stress, tend your relationships, have some purpose about what you're doing, have some relaxation, get some fresh air. It's the basics of what to do, and inherently in that, it sort of excludes then what you don't have to do, rather than spending your whole life sort of trying to not do this, not do that, not do the other. It will turn it into more of a positive, and that makes your life a lot easier. So can you drink coffee? Absolutely. Does it mean that you're guaranteed to live forever? Of course not. What effect does it have on your mental health? I think that's really, really unknown and probably will never be known. And that's probably because it has no particular effect either way, Other than you're enjoying yourself, and in enjoying yourself and you enjoy your coffee, good. Do it because you enjoy it, not for any medical reason or purpose. Likewise, if you want to have the occasional energy drink, and I'm not a fan of them, and I wouldn't advocate that you do it on any regular basis, but if you like them now and again, and it's because you enjoy them and maybe they give you a little bit of energy, then okay. We don't have to get too worked up about these associative studies that essentially prove nothing.
Thanks for listening to Dr. Joe Unplugged. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, and consider subscribing. Tell your friends. If there are topics you'd like to see covered, be in touch through the chat or email info@drjoe.net.au. We'll be uploading new content each Monday, and soon we'll be putting these videos out on X. You can follow me there at Dr. Joe's DIY Health.